Good morning. Let's go back to 1985 and a film which is called Brazil. It's mainly dystopian science fiction. Terry Gilliam wrote and directed. It's set in a horrible, horrible alternative to no particular time, somewhere in the 20th century, maybe 1984. It stars Jonathan Pryce, Robert De Niro, Kim Greist, Michael Palin, Catherine Hellmond, and Bob Hoskins. In an overly consumerist, insanely bureaucratic, uncaring, brutal, and dangerous world. This is another world. The civil service overshadows everything. Cinematographically, to put it that way, such influences were set in place by A Matter of Life and Death, a film that I've reviewed, 1946, that of an infinite civil service running to perfection, or almost, and reflected thematically in terms of bureaucracy by the earlier Charlie Chaplin film Modern Times, 1936, even earlier Fritz Lang film Metropolis, 1927. Lots of influences like that. Many other influences, of course. Everywhere is run down, not quite maintained, tatty and suboptimal. Pneumatic tubes are everywhere for sending messages rolled up in cylinders. Humphrey Bogart films are viewed surreptitiously on screens by workers. Heath Robinson as an influence is strong. Absurd complexity of systems to achieve a simple end. Pretty much everything seems to be a Heath Robinson machine or Heath Robinson contraption. The original title of Brazil was 1984 and a half. Unfortunately, someone else had already done a film called 1984, which was very unsporting. Gilliam had stated that Brazil was inspired by George Orwell's 1984, which he has admitted to never having read. Gilliam used 14mm Zeiss, 11mm and 9.8mm kinoptic lenses. The latter, whilst extremely ultra-wide, was nevertheless rectilinear corrected rather than fisheye. 14mm is often referred to as the Gilliam in the filmmaking world. Robert De Niro originally wanted to play the part that Gilliam had earmarked for his friend Michael Palin, but De Niro settled on a much smaller part as he really wanted to be in the film. Mr. Helpman, played by Peter Vaughan, writes in talcum powder the code used by Sam's father to access Helpman's floor in the elevator. And he writes out the letters Here I am JH, EREIAM JH in talcum powder. It's an anagram of Jeremiah, Sam's father's name. The film was already distributed in Europe by 20th Century Fox, but not yet in America, which would be MCA Universal Pictures. Universal Studio head Sidney Sheinberg wasn't happy with the ending, or just plain didn't understand it, and he wanted the film cut shorter and to have a happy ending instead. This cut was to become known as the Sheinberg Love Conquers All 94-minute version. Luckily, Gilliam managed to show film students, reporters and film critics at a talk at University of Southern California in America, where he was legitimately allowed to show a clip of the unreleased film, his version, not the Universal version that Gilliam hated. Instead of a clip, he went ahead and showed the entire film. Well, it's a very big clip. Then managed to keep showing it for a further 2 weeks. As a result, the LA Film Critics Association gave the longer version awards for Best Film, Best Director, Best Screenplay, all very publicly. This effectively embarrassed Universal into releasing that exact version, finally. A book was written about the very public showdown, the Battle of Brazil, Terry Gilliam versus Universal Pictures in the fight to the final cut, by Jack Matthews. Brazil, 1985. Have a great Wednesday. Phew, what a week. Like and subscribe. Bye.